everybody, and welcome to the May edition of CalCo Community Chats. I'm your host, Jamie Joe, president of the Calhoun County Community Foundation, and I'm so excited to be back with you tonight. We have two very special guests with us that we're going to be chatting with in just a little bit. Miss Sharon Chason, who's the Calhoun County Supervisor of Elections, as well as Miss Chris Rogers, who is the Calhoun County Tax Collector. So we're going to be chatting with them about some important updates that you need to know, some deadlines coming up, as well as some changes statewide that might affect citizens in Calhoun County. So we're really excited to dive into that in just a little bit. But before we do, I want to chat real quick about some updates with the Community Foundation. So we've got a lot of things going on. First and foremost, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're already working on Riverfest 2026. So Florida Riverfest will be here before you know it. I know it seems like it's a ways away, but for those of us that are working on it, it'll be here really fast. And we've got some exciting changes coming next year. We're not going to share those just yet, but I just wanted to put it out there that we do have some exciting updates coming. And a lot of folks say, well, why does it change every year? That's because it's ever evolving. We want it to change slightly every year so that you guys always have something new and exciting to look forward to. And this year's no exception to that. So we're really excited to introduce some new changes with that coming up. Also, the Chipola River Wayside Park, we are still working on that. We've recently spoken to a contractor, and they are going to be working on some stuff for us over the next few weeks. We are trying really hard to get that project completed for you guys to enjoy that river landing over the summer, in the summer months. That was a goal of ours, to have that done so that you guys can enjoy a renovated space. And so, yeah, we're working on the Wayside Park. It's coming along. The snow albums, I know it seems like forever ago, but we are almost complete with those. We've got them organized and almost formatted, and then we're waiting on our quote to come back, and we're going to get that out to you guys. So there'll be an order form on our website, calhouncountycf.org, that you guys can order your snow albums as soon as they come out. And then we're in the thick of Best of CalCo. So if you haven't been voting in the Best of CalCo, you definitely need to do that. You can vote once a day over on our website. You can vote at calhouncountycf.org/Best of CalCo. It's going all through the month of May. So we're going to end it on May 31st, but we have 35 categories this year. So it's the first year. So we might add to it. We might adjust those next year, but this year we have 35 categories. You do not have to vote in every category. However, there are 3 required spaces, 4 if you count your email address. We got to get your email address, and we need 3 votes, which is, if I believe, community neighborhood, best local event, and best park. And if you're wondering why we require you to vote in at least 3 of those, it's because it helps us cut down on like spam submissions. So help us out there. Make sure you're voting daily, and vote for your favorite small businesses, events, all the different things that go on in Calhoun County. We're really excited. I did have one question I want to address that we've gotten a couple times. People seem to be a little confused about what is best neighborhood or community. That's the community you live in. So it could be Kynard, Clarksville, Bluntstown, Alpha, Ochese. It might even be like Pine Island or Woodmont or Live Oak Heights. So just the community or neighborhood that you live in. We're going to see who thinks they have the best one in Calhoun County. So with that being said, we're going to announce those winners on June 2nd in our next special edition of CalCo Community Chat. So everyone will find out live right here on June 2nd at 7 p.m. who is winning what. So you guys are going to want to tune into that. Be sure to save the date for that. And I know that was a mouthful, but I think I have said everything that I need to say about the Community Foundation. Most of the information you can find on our social media. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Calhoun County CF. And then, of course, over on our website, calhouncountycf.org. So with that being said, we're going to dive right in with Miss Sharon Chason. Let's see here. Miss Sharon, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for coming on tonight and chatting with us.
Thank you for having this.
Well, we're gonna dive right in. I'm gonna let you kind of tell the public, just for those that may not be aware of all the services you do, what are some of the services that the Supervisor of Elections office? Well, let me back up. First, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about how long you've been the Supervisor of Elections, your background, and some things that you do. And then tell us what are some services that the office provides.
Okay. So I was elected in 16, took office in 17, jumped right in it. Prior to that, I had background in law, legal, and I am serving my 3rd year now. So happy to love my job and
Third term, right? I think you said
Was
third
that
year.
your third? That's it.
Term. Yes. Awesome. Well, we are so excited to chat with you tonight because I love your office. Just to me, it runs so smooth. Every time I've had to have an interaction in your office, you have done such a wonderful job. And I know that people are so pleased with how the elections have turned out and the process. So what are some of the stuff that you guys do as supervisor of elections?
So we're in charge of course, administering all federal, state, municipal elections and abiding by the election laws. We update the street indexes, we add to the street index, and that's helpful in assigning our voters to the correct polling precinct. We go into the schools, we hold voter registration drives, we educate the juniors and seniors, and we also register them. And some may not realize it, but you can actually register to vote when you're 16. So it's very helpful to go ahead and get them registered. That way, when they turn 18, they're ready to vote in an election. Because if they're graduating, and say they turn 18 in October, and they haven't pre-registered within that 29 deadline, they would not be able to vote. But if they're already pre-registered, they're able to vote in that November election.
Oh, wow. So that's not even just a few months. That's like a couple years ahead of time you can get registered. So
we're constantly conducting list maintenance in the office, for accurate voter rolls.
You guys do a lot
to do with the elections, keeping up with the election equipment, the testing, and staying up to date with the laws. But that's an overview of what we do. A lot of outreach to educate our voters because elections don't happen every day.
Right. Well, that brings me to my next note because I was going through some of our notes that we had, and there's a lot of one of the main misconceptions that you mentioned was that a lot of people say, well, what do you do during an off year? What is there for the office to do? So I know you said there's not an off year. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So that's becoming a laughing joke amongst SOEs. So the world they don't think that we work in an off year. They think we have nothing to do. But the truth is there's lots to do. Like our municipality elections are held this year. Outreach continues. List maintenance continues. We're constantly updating our policy, updating our forms because the laws change, dates change, and you have to update everything. We attend webinars for cybersecurity, webinars on best practices, and then we're preparing for the next election. So plenty to do.
Always something going on in the office. Do we have any elections coming up in 2026 or 2025?
We do. We have City of Blountstown has an election and Alpha as well on August the 19th. So City of Blountstown will have 2 council seats up, and their qualifying is going to be June the 19th through the 13th. Anyone can pick up their qualifying paperwork at our office. Now, the town of Alpha is a little bit different. You would need to pick your paperwork up from the town of Alpha. They conduct their own election. So that's coming up pretty quickly. So anyone interested in that would need to contact.
What seats were those again that were up for election?
So it's Ward 1 and Ward 2 is currently being held by Miss Mert Stevens and Clifford Jackson.
Okay. So in the City of Blountstown, Ward 1 and Ward 2 are up for election this year. And then the town of Alpha, those are separate. So you would have to see City Hall there probably in Alpha to register for those, right?
That's correct. It's my understanding Alpha has 4 council seats up and the mayor is also up.
Okay. What are the date of those elections this year, the actual elections?
The date's going to be August the 19th.
August the 19th. So you guys keep that in mind. August the 19th, we have 2 elections in the county, both for city municipalities. So one thing I also wanted to mention, tell me about the Vote in Honor of a Veteran program.
Okay. Yeah, our office is proud to continue that process. I believe it was started around 2005. So we currently have around 650 pictures on the wall. We continue to grow that. We've added around 100 pictures in 8 years. So their pictures display the dates of service. If they received an honor, it also lists that. And we enjoy watching the families as they come into the courthouse to do business. They're constantly, you see them hunting their families on the wall.
How do you get one of your family members on the wall?
You do?
No, how do you get one of your family members on the wall if they're not there and you would like
to? So we have a form they can get from our office or they can visit our website. We also have the form on there. they can fill it out and email it to us and email us a picture.
Okay, and so I have that website here on the screen, guys. You can see votecalhounfl.gov. You can find that form. If you want your family member, a service member, to be included in that, you can submit the form there. And how many did you tell me again there were? I think
650.
650 lining the walls of the courthouse. If you go in the Calhoun County Courthouse, you will see a lot of veteran photos on the walls, and that's what that's all about. So that's really nice.
Now, they're not alphabetical order, so we keep an Excel spreadsheet, a running list of, and we can let them know which law letter they're behind. It's not alphabetical order.
Now, you don't want to go out there and alphabetize six.
No.
You have all the
maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Tell me about your outreach programs. I heard you mention earlier too that you do some community outreach. What do you do when you go into the community, and where do you do those, and when are they coming up next?
So our next outreach event is June the 12th. St. Paul is going to host that. So that'll be the first outreach event we've attended there. So we're excited about that. So what we do is we try to educate the voters on anything upcoming. See if anyone's interested in registering to the vote that may not be registered, or update their, update their, either their party affiliation, update their address, because it's important that their addresses and their signatures are kept up to date. A lot don't realize it, but signatures are very important because we get batches of initiative petitions weekly, and those are verified by their voter's signature. So say you're at Walmart and a circulator wants you to sign an initiative petition, you probably don't realize where that petition is going, but it's actually coming back to the county that they reside in for that county to verify their signature. And then we update the state of how many valid and invalid signatures or invalid petitions if it's sent to the wrong county.
How many outreach events do you think you do, like a year? Do you know?
I'd say about 7 or 8, probably.
Yeah, a lot throughout the year. So there's no excuse for folks not to know about what's going on inside the Supervisor of Elections office or how to get registered to vote. I had no idea that you could register at 16. So that's definitely something that I've learned tonight that I just was not aware of. So parents, make sure you're getting those kids registered, or Miss Sharon's going to help you out there and do it at the school, right? You do
That's right.
Things at the schools.
Yep.
Awesome. Now, are there any, I have a couple more questions here. Are there any election law changes that have happened recently that folks might need to be aware of, or any important deadlines? I know you mentioned the filing deadline for the municipalities or the municipal elections, but any like state, national, other local law changes that people need to know about?
There was one that just passed, but the main one that affected our voters was passed in 22, and that was dealing with the vote by mail request. So what that did was it canceled vote by mail request in a voter's record, and a voter now has to re-request that each election cycle. But if they request it like in the beginning of the year, they can request now for 2026, and that request will be good all the way until November of 2026. It'll be good for both elections.
Okay. Let's see.
And then there's also another deadline date coming up real quick. If there's any potential candidates out there wanting to run for office in 26, the deadline to change your party affiliation is June the 6th.
June 6th. Oh, that's my wedding anniversary. June 6th. It's the deadline to change your party affiliation. So make sure that you do that. Now, Miss Judy has a question here. It says, is there a filing fee?
A filing fee to run for office?
Miss Judy, can you clarify, comment again, please, if you're still there, and clarify if that means to run for office? I'm assuming probably so for the municipal elections. We'll give her just a second there. While we're waiting on her to clarify that, is there anything that you would like to just share with the public about changes in your office or things that they just might need to know? What are the hours of the office?
Hours are 8 to 4, Monday through Friday.
All right, she says yes. Is it a percentage?
So municipalities are different. So if she's talking about the municipality, that is $30, and that's set out by their charter. Now, Alpha is different, but Bluntstown is the $30 flat fee. Now, for each office is a little bit different because our offices, you can collect petitions or pay a qualifying fee, which could get steep because it's there's a party affiliation involved, it's a percentage of that, and it's a percentage of the salary as well.
Wow. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's definitely for you to keep up with all the different laws and the different requirements for each different office and how that runs. That is no small feat. So thank you for all that you do in the office. And I know you may have said this earlier, and I might have missed it while I was reading my notes, but is there somewhere on your website that folks could go, like if they want to run for office, but maybe they're not educated about how to do that, or they have some questions? I mean, obviously they can come to you, but is there somewhere online where they can go take a course or study up how to do something if it's something that they might be interested in?
There is a lot of information on our website. That's one of the things we're in the process. We're real close to having it together. Typically candidates there's always been information on what to do, but we're trying to put together a complete packet that if they wanted to go print it themselves, they can do that straight from our website. So hopefully in the next few weeks, that will be where a candidate can go and take care of that. They can call us now if they have any questions, okay?
All right. And you guys see there, I have it on the screen, votecalhounfl.gov. And then their Facebook page, you can go at SharonChason.soe. You can search it on Facebook that way. You can also just search Calhoun County, Florida Supervisor of Elections. It should pop up. But there's a plethora of information on there. And one thing, too, I want to mention about Miss Sharon, because you always help us at Florida River Fest greatly. And she always has a booth. I went to her a few years ago and said, I would like to do this thing that I saw at another event. It's called The Post. And essentially what it is they do coloring pages or letters to soldiers around the world that they get sent off to. And Miss Sharon always does that booth for us at Florida River Fest. So make sure you guys next year stop by there and see her and write a letter to a soldier overseas. And that's just such a nice thing that you do. And I appreciate it so much. So is there anything else? Let's see. We got another question here. Michaela says, thanks for the information, Miss Sharon.
Thank you.
Jessica said, we love you, Sharon. Thanks for all you do.
So sweet.
Does anybody else have a question before we say goodbye to Miss Sharon tonight? If anybody has a question, pop them in the comments real quick and we will ask her those. And Miss Sharon, if there's anything else you would like the public to know or announce, please let us know.
Go vote. Best of CalCo.
Oh, that's right. She got that plug in there. That's right. She is up for, is it Best Civil Servant? I believe it is. It may say politician or civil servant. I can't recall.
Civil servant. Civil
servant. So Best Civil Servant, Miss Sharon's up for that, along with all the other civil servants in the county. So you got a good plug in there tonight. That's good. We're having fun with that. Everybody's been
that's all we're doing is having fun. That's right.
It's been a good time so far. So we're really excited to boost everybody's morale with that. And hopefully people continue to have fun with it. And I know some of y'all civil servants in the courthouse are getting a little competitive there. So it's fun to watch.
What did you expect?
Oh, let's see. Charlotte Daniel says, do you still need the voter registration cards?
Great question. You do not need it. It is for information purposes only. Just your driver's license.
Just a driver's license. So no more need those. When you do register, do you get anything?
You do. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. You get outlines your voting precinct and your address.
Okay. And is there somewhere on your website that folks can go see their precincts, like where, or their precinct, or just what district they're in if they may not be familiar with the county districts?
They sure can. They'll type their name in there and it'll say find my precinct, and it'll put their address in there or tell them exactly where to go.
Oh, super easy, guys. Super, super easy. Well, thank you so much, Miss Sharon, for being with us. I appreciate you chatting with us tonight. We are going to bring on Miss Chris Rogers here. I'm going to say goodbye to you, but just so folks are aware of kind of what's happening, we had a few technical difficulties earlier. So Miss Chris is going to jump on here, and then we'll be back with her. So thanks, Miss Sharon. We'll see you.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate the outreach you helped us with.
Thanks. Bye. All right, guys, give us just 1 second and we're going to get Chris on here. We've got to do some changes because we had those technical difficulties. So if you will give me just a second here. All right. Let me get back over here. I think we've got Miss Chris. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm in the Supervisor of Elections office because obviously we had some speaker issues in mind. So
We did, but we're working it out. It's fine. We are happy to have you.
I'm excited to be in the red, white, and blue anyway.
That's right. So I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself for those that may not know you or may not know your background in the tax collector's office, when you were elected, and just introduce yourself.
Okay, well, that's great. I've been doing this job for tax collector work, I will say it like that, for the last 25 years. I was recently elected, so this is my first official year of being a elected official, if you want to call it that. I won the election in August, so I took the rollover January the 7th, and I've been super excited, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback, and I'm happy. I mean, that's just one of those things, you're just happy to go to work.
So tell me, what are some of the services that you guys provide in the tax collector's office? Obviously, you collect the taxes, but beyond that, what are some things that you do that folks may not realize?
Well, that's a great question. We do driver's license, concealed weapons, hunting and fishing. I always tell everybody we're a one-stop shop. Don't think you just came to pay taxes. I'll get the rest of your money before you leave. It's so much. We do the property taxes, tags, DMV. We're doing title work, adding liens to vehicles. It's the boats, all of that, all the fun things that you need. We're your office. So.
And you guys are located right inside the courthouse. As soon as you see the metal detectors to the right, for most people, it's very easily, labeled in there. Everybody can find the offices, but you're kind of in that corner right when you walk in.
We are.
And how many team members do you guys have in the tax collector's office?
So there are 6, other than myself. We have 2 in driver's license, which I am proud to say we will be. Miss Carla's getting a bigger office downstairs, and we are utilizing and going to steal her old office for driver's license and concealed weapons. So we're excited about that. That should hopefully happen in the summer, but we're excited. And then, of course, I have 4 girls in the main office.
So plenty of folks there to help y'all out if you need to go in.
Yeah.
Information on some stuff. Now, have there been any major changes in the office recently that folks might need to be aware about? Anything that, I know you're new to not new to the office, but new to the lead position there. Has there been any changes that you just want to let the public know about?
Well, I wouldn't say they're really new. I mean, there are some new legislative changes, and some of those will be coming through, really soon about, let's see, like your parking placards. In the past, back in October the 1st of 2012, they canceled out the fact that you would have to have, all I have to do is renew my parking placard if I have a permanent parking placard. Well, they did away with that. So every 4 years you had to come in with a new doctor's note, yada, yada, yada. But now, certain requirements, they're going to allow that person to just continue to renew without having to go through the whole doctor thing. And I'm really happy about that. Another thing is we are in the midst of our tax sale. We're getting ready for that. So people have the month of May to pay their property taxes all the way up until May the 31st online. Well, no, because they can't pay it online. We turn the credit cards off, but they want to make sure that they're making payments beforehand. If not, you're going to be taxed on a 5% penalty with interest, and you're also going to have to pay that $25 online tax sale fee. So that's not any fun to have to pay extra fees on that.
So they can just mail a check or bring a check in to you guys, or is that how?
Right. We take cash, check. We also, in office, we will take a credit card.
Okay.
It just charges 2.85% additional.
Okay. But there is no way at this moment, are there plans to be able to make payments online, or just?
Make the payment online. They don't do that just in case some people, like with an e-check, if they, we want to make sure if we have to sell a certificate, because they're listed on our website now too. If you want to become a bidder, you have to sign up, register, and then you can provide us a 10% deposit, and then you would bid on the interest rate. Everybody thinks I'm bidding on your house. No, you're not. You're bidding on the interest rate, and that starts at 18% and goes to the lowest bidder. So it's just a way for folks to make a little bit more money than they probably would in the banking system. So
I gotcha. Are there any important deadlines coming up that folks need to know about?
So of course the deadline is the 31st. That's a crucial one. Other than that, I don't know that we have any deadlines per se. I know that the alligator permits are kicking off now. So anybody that wants to jump on the back of an alligator and wrestle him, and put him in your boat, that's you can come in and we can sell you a tag for that if you're drawn.
So I was going to say, is it a like lottery style system? Or?
It is. Matter of fact, and you put your credit card information in. So if you're drawn, they pull that money right on out of your account. So, they have different ways that they do that. And then when there's some left over, they'll put you back in another lottery system. So it's kind of cool.
I gotcha. Now I know, let's see, we got a comment here. I'm trying to see. If I no longer wish to register an old vehicle, do I still need to bring the physical tag into the office?
Well, that's a great question. What I will say is if that tag has expired and you haven't dropped your insurance yet, but you want to drop insurance, you do need to surrender the license plate. If it is where your tag is old, it's been expired for several months, you still continue to have insurance on it, but it's no longer any good, you can keep it and you can drop your insurance. The Department of Highway Safety is looking to see, is that vehicle insured with that particular VIN in your name, and is the decal good? And if all of those factors key in and you've dropped your insurance, it's going to say, oh, let me send you out an FR7, which is a financial responsibility notice in the mail saying, hey, you're going to be suspended if you don't provide us proof of insurance.
All right, Jessica, does that answer your question there? If anybody else has any questions, guys, comment down in the chat below. And by the chat, I just mean the comments. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, just leave us a comment. That'll pop up here, and Miss Chris can answer those questions for you. So if you have any questions about anything to do with the tax collector's office, she'll be happy to touch those for you tonight. While we're waiting on some more questions to come in, I know this is kind of a hot topic right now, and we chatted about this a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that's been in the news a lot lately, and folks have asked about it. I've heard conversations about it. But there's the discussion of ending or even like significantly reducing property taxes in the state of Florida. Can you tell us a little bit about, as a tax collector, how that may affect citizens of Calhoun County, or just some things that they might need to think through or be aware of as they hear these conversations?
Absolutely. So Representative Abbott's office had reached out to me last week, and several of the questions I could not answer, so I had referred them to Ms. Carla Peacock's office, where they were working on the steps to provide for Representative Abbott's office, because he's one of several that are going to be on this committee, and they want to know, what it would do to a small county. And when you think we have a $10 million tax roll, and now you're saying we want to eliminate that, where is that revenue going to come from? Mm-hmm. So we did give them the breakdown for the taxing authorities to the school board's capital outlay, to the county commissioners, the city of Lawrencetown, and to Northwest Florida. And I gave them this year, but I also gave them the last 2 years, so they can see what the amount of revenue those agencies receive. Mm-hmm. And that's crucial. You think about how much money that they get, and if you eliminate, what are you going to fit back into that? So if you go with a sales tax, well, how much revenue are we going to collect here? Even if you up the sales tax part.
But I think a lot of people who don't realize that, of course, nobody likes taxes. Nobody likes to pay taxes.
People have been complaining about tax collector's office since biblical days, honey. Nothing's changed.
Nobody likes to pay taxes. However, they do serve a purpose, and a lot of things are funded through those taxes. And when you're from a very rural area and you don't have a lot of income coming in other ways, or a lot of
tourism dollars,
money, so if those tourism dollars are not there, a lot of people say, well, do away with property taxes and it's going to get shifted somewhere. They're going to just shift it to sales tax. But if it goes to sales tax, the idea in some of the larger municipalities is that the tourists will pay it. They'll pay the hotel taxes or the bed taxes or the sales tax or the gas tax, and they'll offset some of that. But when you're in a rural area that does not see a lot of tourists, that's going to hit the local. So they're the ones that are going to have to absorb those costs of sales tax. So your groceries and all those things are going to shoot up.
Right.
And you're still not even going to be able to offset the amount of
You're
property.
not with $10 million.
And so I think people also need to keep in mind some of the things that property taxes do, fund. Usually it's like school fees and or school costs.
Oh, yeah.
It also funds like emergency services in a lot of places.
It does. And the roads. 274 is a good indication of good tax dollars, because that is now paved and it's super nice. So I'm excited about 274.
So it's things like that, though, that folks that are watching may not realize. On the front end, it is really exciting to say yes, no property taxes.
Right.
But when you're in a small community like Calhoun County, there's just a lot that goes into it. And I know that folks have had questions about it, and they see things online a lot of times. And so we just wanted to bring that tonight to the conversation so that maybe you could clear up any rumors or just tell folks this is in the early stages.
Yeah.
It's a discussion that's being had. And maybe some things I don't know if you've seen any rumors online, some things that you might could clear up for them.
Not so much as far as the rumors, but, from what I'm gathering, I know people are like, okay, well, we will talk about one rumor. Oh, well, you won't have a job. Well, first of all, tax collectors do multiple things. So it's not just collecting taxes. So even if you do take that away, if they were to eliminate that completely, we're still a representative and an agent for the state of Florida for the Department of Highway Safety, the Division of Agriculture. I mean, we still provide a lot of services.
Right.
So, I did speak to the tax collector attorney for the association. I know where he stands. He gave me a lot of insight. Try to keep that on the, whatever. And I also have a pretty good feel of what Representative Abbott is, where he's leaning as well. So, and I was glad that they reached out to Calhoun County. That makes me feel good. So.
And that's really good that they have, that we have representatives like you in place, and Miss Carla and Miss Sharon and all the folks in there that can carry on those conversations with the state representatives. Right. And let them know, like, hey, this is what we're seeing here. This is what we need. This is what our people are going to have in order to
absolutely
maintain our facilities and our programs and the things that we need. And so I know it's a hot topic, but I wanted to, like I said, chat about that a little bit.
I'm all about it.
Folks are always asking about taxes. And so, but yeah, so you heard it here first, guys. It's really early stages. I know you see stuff online about it, but they are at least reaching out to Calhoun County representatives to find out how this would affect folks in Calhoun County. So have no fear, and don't get too excited either. So
right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could see them revamping it some, but to completely eliminate, I don't see it.
Mm-hmm. And a blanket thing never works, right? Statewide, we are not Miami. We are not Tallahassee even. So there's some things that are going to have to be a little bit more nuanced with that. So if you guys are watching right now, if you have any questions about that or any of the things that we've covered tonight, we're going to give it just a second to throw that in the chat. So Ms. Chris can answer any of those questions for you. While we're waiting on that, is there anything you would like to let the public know about your office? Any upcoming announcements? I know I have your website here, calhountc.com. What kind of information can they find on there?
So that's another great question. I like where you're headed with that. So we have our forms available. A lot of times I'll get messaged on evenings, weekends, that kind of thing. I need this. This is what happened. And we have put some of those forms on our website so they don't have to wait until Monday to come into the office. They are downloadable if you've got access to a printer. Our website's where you can actually pay property taxes. You can go through to pay your tag, but now, as soon as we get in the next day, it gets processed that way. I'm trying to think of anything else. We did do a facelift in our office, and we're happy about that. I've had people from different counties that have come in, and they're like, this is a nice looking tax collector's office. And I said, well, we're pretty proud of it. So I'm happy about that.
And I know I was just in there recently, and the glass is gone.
Yes. That, I'll be honest with you, I'm glad that the county commissioners were okay with it. We got to the point that it was a shouting match back and forth. And because the way the office is in a U, it's a little bit different than being in a regular room, which is a solid piece of glass.
Yeah.
they were in a fishbowl. You talk and it echoes. It was horrible. Then my coworker and I would be hollering back and forth and you couldn't hear. So you're spending more time repeating yourself. And you know, if time is money, you know, the rest of that. So we're glad, and I will say this, I hate to call him out on it, but Dr. Murray Baker's first words out of his mouth was, "Thank God it's gone." So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, and it was great. It served its purpose when it was needed. But now it is definitely much more open in there. And I love that you guys have like the game and fish stuff on the wall.
Yeah.
So it's very homey and personalized in the tax collector's office.
Thank you.
So it makes writing those checks a little bit easier.
That's exactly right. That's why it's not red in there, like a bull.
Now, Jessica has another question. She said, for the tax deed auction, do you have to bid in person or is there an online option?
Well, thank you, Jessica, for that question. There is no longer an in-person bidding. After COVID happened, when we started, Calhoun County was one of the 6 holdouts that we still conducted a live sale. And then COVID happened. So we went to an online sale. And I know a lot of people got frustrated with that. And we've lost a lot of our older bidders because it is a little frustrating. And some people from other counties or different places throughout the United States would bid, and they would bid really low. But I will tell you, last year's tax sale averaged 13% as far as the interest rate that you would accumulate for simple interest on a purchase of a tax certificate. So the tax deed auction, let me say that, is a little bit different. The tax deed auction is conducted by the clerk of court's office, and they still conduct a live. They were doing it online. They've done away with that. So it's now local people, or you would have to be present in order to bid on the actual tax deed sale.
That's nice.
I hope that answers your question.
I think so. All right. Anybody else? We're going to give it just a second here for any more questions. Let's see. Thank you for being with us tonight. I appreciate it. I know we had some technical difficulties right in the beginning, but you're running over there and jumping on. I know you guys are all real busy, and so we do appreciate.
And I appreciate you. I mean, you know, you're a plethora of knowledge for the citizens of Calhoun County. A lot of times people are scared to ask questions, and, you know, I don't want to say ignorance is bliss, but sometimes it truly is, even in life. But I will tell you, I have really sincerely appreciated the fact that you have asked us the questions and made our office where we can explain what we do. And I appreciate that.
Sure. Well, we're happy to do it. We are so excited about where CalCo Chats is headed. And the reason we do this is to try to connect the citizens with those offices that they may not always be educated on or aware of some of the services or options that they have. Because a lot of times if you don't need something immediately, you don't go in there, you may not know what's going on. So we're just happy to, you know, we can connect everybody and maybe educate the viewers and the public a little bit, and then bring everyone together too. So I know it's always difficult when you have these offices that have to require some things, or like, you know, you have to collect payment, maybe to ease that burn a little bit so folks understand that why this is needed or what it's going towards. I don't see any other questions at this time. So I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. And don't go anywhere, folks. I've got a few more announcements to make, but Chris, we will see you guys later.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching tonight. If you're watching the replay, thanks for joining us. We appreciate all you guys engaging with CalCo Community Chats. We hope to keep this going and continue to grow in this. If you have any ideas of folks that you would like to chat with or have us chat with on CalCo Community Chats, please let us know. Shoot us an email, pop over to our Facebook page, send us a message, or comment down below. And so hopefully in the coming months, we can bring on some other guests that you guys would like to hear about or chat with. Also, don't forget, the next one is going to be June 2nd at 7 p.m. We are going to announce our winners for the first ever Best of CalCo Awards, and we're really excited about that. So you guys save the date, tune in, and we will see y'all next time.